This is going to be a real quick explanation of what I mean by zeroing out the ting. And what I have here is a homemade rise and fall indicator. You can buy these pre-manufactured. Midwest Knife Maker Supply has a really nice one for about $100 or $120 if I recall. I went ahead and just made my own, but what it allows you to do is to zero each position of your knife in both the open, the half stop, and then the closed position. So what we're going to do, since we really can't change the open position anymore, the spring's pretty much where it's going to be. We're going to go ahead and make sure it's open nice and tight. Zero our indicator. And then we'll see about how far off we are in the half position. So it looks like we're about 50 thousandths too long on the bottom of the ting. And it's just about a 1/16 of an inch, which is about what I planned extra on that. And then when we close it, and because the geometry does change with no tension, we're going to have to kind of lift the blade up a little bit. Make sure it's flat on the tang there. We're about the same 51 thousandths in the closed position. Now one thing we do need to take into consideration is I do need to radius these corners just a little bit. So that's actually going to change or reduce how far I really need to take off when I'm in the closed position. So we're going to keep that in mind. But what I've gone ahead and done, since my template is pretty close to begin with, I went ahead and laid it back over the blade and traced the original template back on, which is what I had originally. So here you can see we do have about a 1/16 of an inch extra there. I'm going to kind of sneak up to that line. We'll do the half stop position first, as that's pretty well established and won't change. And then we'll go ahead and radius these corners and sneak up on the kick. And our goal, again, is to be zero at all three positions. And it's just a nice touch. It's really not completely necessary to the function of the knife, but it does look a lot nicer and shows that you put some thought and effort into building your knife. So I'm going to go ahead and grind this. It's really pretty self-explanatory, I think. I'll show you what I did when I'm done, and we'll go from there. Alright, we did a little bit of work to our blade tang, so that now hopefully we're pretty close to zero on each position. Go ahead and zero the indicator at open. Looks like closed, we actually took it just a little too far, or half closed rather, and then we're right back on zero for the closed position. So I can live with that. Obviously you could always get a little closer to perfect, but you could also spend your entire life trying to get this just exactly right. And obviously it'll come with practice. The more of these I do, the better I'll get, and probably be able to zero these pretty well. But for all intents and purposes, that'll be just fine. So we've basically got our spring almost to its final dimension. We've got our blade tang essentially to its final dimension. And the only thing left now to do is to put it together, kind of check our final tensions, and if we need to make any adjustment as far as lightening it up, we can remove a little bit of material from this area here. So I'm going to go ahead and split the handles apart. They're still glued together from the beginning stages of this build, and then I'll go ahead and pin everything together, and we'll turn the camera back on and see what we got. Again, I apologize for all the jumping around. Hopefully this is all somewhat sensible. But I went ahead and got everything together. Still need a little bit of fine tuning and adjusting to do. But one thing I didn't really mention before, what I do like to do in order to help facilitate putting things together and taking it apart, I do leave a little exposed hump here at the center back spring pin because that's actually what we're going to be compressing to give our tension and put everything together. So we'll squeeze this in a vise until it's loose, pull the pin out, and then we can take it apart, adjust it as we need it, and then put it back in the vise, push that in until the holes line up, and stick our middle pin in. But what I found is we definitely got a nail breaker on our hands, so I'm going to remove a little bit of material just forward of the center pin there, and try to eliminate just a little bit of that tension. Now it really doesn't take much, so I'm going to really try to sneak up on it, just do a little bit at a time. But we're going to at least get it to where hopefully when I close it all the way I can open it again. So once again, I'm going to turn the camera off, do a little bit of adjustment, and turn it back on when I get it where I need it. Alright, I went ahead and dialed in the tension on the spring right where I like it. And I also went ahead and flushed up the back spring just about the rest of the way to the handle. It'll need a little bit more cleanup when everything's finally pinned together. That's really not going to be a big deal. But I'm pretty happy with where we're at right now. We got a 0 or a flush back spring in the closed position, half open, and the open position as well. Nice strong snap. Not a terribly light pull, but not too strong either. Right where I like them to be. So what we're ready to do now is go ahead and do our flat grinds. I'll kind of leave it pinned together like this so that I have a handle to grind back and forth on the grinder. We'll get that all dialed in, get everything centered up, and then we'll pretty well be ready to do one final cleanup on everything. Make sure everything's deburred, nice and clean, fitting together well, and then we'll be ready to ream out our pinholes, pin some permanent pins in place, and then do kind of the final fit up and sharpening. So we are getting very close. I'm going to kind of skip around a little bit more. I probably won't really show the grinding process, as there's really not much I can teach you guys with that. But I'm going to get everything at this point ready to permanently pin in place, and then we'll resume the camera, and I'll kind of show you how I dial that in and get it adjusted. So so far so good. I'll go ahead and get the other one pretty much to this point as well, and we'll see what we get.